All right, guys. So we got a little bit of an informal video for you guys today because just logged into my old. I'm now with BMI, but I originally started this industry with ASCAP, and as you can see, I'm getting close to 10,000 placements, which is kind of wild. I never thought necessarily that I would ever get there, but here I am, and I'm getting closer and closer to 10,000 as we speak. And I just had a couple of thoughts about that. First of all, very proud, very grateful for it. It's pretty cool just to see you can start something, stay at something, and build it up to the point where you see some pretty cool results like this. And I've been doing this for 17 years, so did not come immediately, did not come overnight. This is something that I started off with zero in my cue sheets, and I know many of you guys watching this are probably showing zero or maybe single digits or double digits, but I had one member saying that he can't even fathom 10,000. It's like he's just looking for number one. Well, so was I. None of this stuff just came automatically. It took me a couple of years to get number one, my first placement, and then just stuck with it. Got through the many different obstacles, getting rejected, passed over for opportunities, missing out on briefs, disappointing royalties, low sync payments, no sync payments, you name it, right? All the things, waiting for royalties, all the things that you guys struggle with, that's what I've struggled with as well to get to where this point is. But obviously, I'm very, very proud, very grateful, and very thankful to all the library partners that helped me do that. I didn't do any of that myself. I don't know of anybody who's doing this by themselves, pitching their own music directly, getting anywhere near this kind of number. I just don't know if that's even possible. It's too much work. It's just there's too many individuals involved with a number like this for one person to achieve that, in my estimation, in my opinion. So this is definitely coming from the great high quality library partners that I partnered with, and it's one of the main reasons why I started this channel. 8 years ago now, and told you guys about production music libraries and wanted to really spread the word about why working with production music libraries is a viable path, and you can see it for yourself here. This is why it can really work out. Not easy, not fast, as you guys know. But one other thought that I just can't help but wrestle with as I'm sort of nearing this big milestone is, had I had more data, more insights into our marketplace, knew a little bit more about what actually was getting placed in my particular style of music. When I got started, it was more in the rock, hip hop rock, a little bit electronic, EDM kind of styles. Can't help but wonder, would this have been doubled or tripled by now? Would this, again, don't mistake me for not being grateful for 10,000 placements. Stoked, I'm on the moon about it. But I have other thoughts too. And the other thoughts are, I spent a lot of time in the first couple of years of my career, I'd say the first 5 to 6, 7 years, making a lot of music that basically never got placed. And it wasn't because it wasn't high quality music. It wasn't that I wasn't working with great high quality libraries. I was doing both of those things. I just wasn't making music that was in demand, and it wasn't feeding the need of the current marketplace. I spent too much time thinking about me, thinking about, well, I want to be different. I want to make something that nobody else is making because I want to have a really cool, unique thing sitting on the shelf for the library partners that I work with because that'll help me stand out. That's what I assumed, right? And that's going to help me get more placements, and that's going to help me carve out a little bit more of a niche for myself. But in making that calculation, I was making music like slow, down-tempo trip hop. I remember doing a whole album of slow, down-tempo trip hop. Got a couple placements with it, not a lot. Did some too much dubstep music, multiple albums worth of dubstep music. I think one album of dubstep music is too much. And I did multiple albums. I also did some kind of slow, relaxed, kind of chill step music. Not really in demand. Even a lot of the rock music I did throughout the years. Some of it got placed, lots of placements, but a lot of it sat on the shelf. And the reason why a lot of it sat on the shelf, and the reason why I think this 10,000 number could have been 20, 30,000, maybe 50,000 by this point, is had I just known and had access to what kind of music in my particular style was getting placed the most, I definitely wouldn't have wasted as much time as I did on, I don't know, maybe a quarter to a half of my catalog. I mean, that's kind of crazy thing to say, that like almost a quarter to a half of the work you put into your career sort of just went to waste, didn't get placed, and it probably never will be. I just can't help but to admit that's the truth of it, though. And the reason why that's the truth of it is because I didn't have data. I didn't know what gets placed. I had no idea as to what was really happening in our industry for my particular style of music. And I also didn't know which libraries were basically placing my style of music the most. Because maybe it would have made sense for me at some point to, not just like kick my library partners, and kick them aside and say, well, you guys aren't doing enough for me. I'm out of here. But maybe explore other library partners that have more of a track record of placing my particular style of music. Can't help but think that. And had I had Sync Match, right, which is the app that does give you that data, it shows you what's getting placed in your particular genre and your particular style. Had I had access to that data, I could hear more specifically. I think that's what's most powerful about the app. Spending time listening to the music that gets placed in my particular genre, or finding out that the rock music that does get placed the most isn't quite sounding like what I'm doing. And if I had access to that and I knew what was actually flying off the shelf the most, and I also knew which libraries were placing that style of music the most, I just can't help but think that this number would have been much bigger. And so it's not meant to be a pity party on me at all. Again, very grateful. I'm fine. I'm excited about my results. No problems here at all. But this is for you guys. You guys don't have to start composing in the dark like I essentially was back when I got started in 2008. You don't have to. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to guess. You also don't have to, before we had access like, the data we have with Sync Match, before this, basically you would turn on a TV show, kind of try to hear and listen to what got placed. But that was basically your sample data was one show, one set of commercials, one Super Bowl. You try to extrapolate some sort of larger trend from that tiny, tiny sample. I mean, it's impossible. It's illogical. You just can't fathom what's happening all over the place from one tiny viewing session, right? You can get some insight and some interesting, maybe tidbits of data. But sampling 20 different US channels and soon to be much more than that on the Sync Match app, there's no way to do that. There's no human way to do that in a timely manner, right? If you don't want to lose your mind and watch TV all day long for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you really want to spend most of your time composing and listening to high quality music that does get placed in your particular styles of music, then this is what you can do now with Sync Match. So my hope, my wish for all of you guys is to not, follow my footsteps in some of the smart things that I did. But one of the biggest themes of this entire channel is to let you guys know what my mistakes were, where I screwed up royally, where I didn't understand what I was doing, where I was young and naive and didn't really have access to all the resources that you guys now have access to. It's kind of what's been driving everything that I've done here on this channel and with all of my resources throughout all of these years, from Sync Academy to Sync Edge to now Sync Match, is to give you guys all the things that I wish 2008 version of me had at the very beginning, so that I wasn't making these newbie mistakes, so that I wasn't getting lost in the, well, I just want to do something for me and I just want it to be all about how I'm going to be different and unique and whatever. Anything that I can do to kind of help reverse all of that and all of you, to have you not looking at yourself and not focusing on yourself, but looking at the industry, looking at the clients, looking at the TV shows, looking at the music that gets placed, looking at the libraries, looking at what people actually want and what's actually getting placed right now, so that you fit into that equation. That is the recipe for success. It doesn't work the other way around. Nobody is coming to chase you. Nobody's coming to discover you and your unique abilities and talents. They want it. Libraries are always looking for new talent. They're always looking for high quality music. And so they will wrap their hands around you if you pitch to the right company with the right music. But you got to realize it's not about you. It's not about me. We are not the stars of this show. We are the supporting roles. We are behind the scenes. We usually don't get credits on screen. And so that is not what this is about. It's about us finding out, I call it now the buffet. Where is the buffet? What's being served at the buffet? What music's being served at the buffet? What clients are coming to eat at that buffet? And what are they picking out of that buffet? Which styles of music and genres and moods and all that kind of stuff? What are they actually selecting? And how can you, watching this video right now, put yourself at that buffet with your high quality music so that you at least are in the conversation, you are being considered for where the vast majority of placements are happening. And for every style of music, I would say not every style, but for most styles of music that are popular that most of you guys compose in: rock, hip hop, electronic, orchestral, folk, um, maybe Latin, world, all the major ones that most of you guys are going to be composing that are watching this video. There is a way and an approach to each one of those that gets placed more often than others. It is not a mystery. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of coming onto the Sync Match app, clicking on maybe a genre or uploading one of your tracks and getting your matches, putting on your headphones or listening with your speakers, and listening and spending some time really diving into the data, really diving into the music of what's actually working, and figuring out how you can fit yourself into that world so that maybe you, this way, get up to that number or maybe even much higher. My hope for all of you guys is that you get much higher in much shorter amounts of time by using this kinds of data. So if you have any questions about the Sync Match app or about how we are, I think, changing the game for the sync licensing industry, especially for producers, comment below, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have, or you can email me, jesse@syncmymusic.com. And feel free to join us. We have more and more data coming onto the app. We're going to be announcing what's going to be coming in August here very soon, so definitely keep your ears out for that one. But we are definitely changing things, and this app is a big part of that. And I think those of you that are taking advantage of this data, have already signed up and are using this app, can see and feel that difference already in terms of where you're going to be focused now and how you're going to be maybe making some slight course corrections with your particular approach with your music and maybe libraries you want to pitch to, so that you can also get numbers like this in your cue sheet and maybe your ASCAP or your BMI account, whatever you do. So, and I know maybe everybody's going to ask, I'm currently with BMI. I signed up originally with ASCAP. I do not have writer accounts with both. Okay, you cannot do that. You got to be with one or the other. I am a current member of BMI. I highly encourage you to work with BMI. I just happen to have signed up originally with ASCAP, and because of that, and because there's a universal registration system, I'm actually in a fortunate position that I get to see what's happening from both of my accounts. From these cue sheets reflect what I've got in place through ASCAP from the beginning years up until now, and what I've got in place with my current BMI account, because they're using a universal cue sheet and registration system. So I just want to make sure you guys are clear on that. I'm not a member with both or anything like that, but proceed as you see fit. But that's my recommendation for you guys.